Good morning, South Florida. Welcome to another edition of UM's Frost Jazz Hour, right here on WDNA 88.9 FM, the home of serious jazz. My name is Chuck Bergeron. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the program. We are live here in the WDNA Gallery, 2921 Coral Way, and you know that each Thursday at this time we bring you a wide variety of wonderful artists from the Frost School of Music. Incredible student groups, faculty performances, guest artists. This morning is no exception. Doctoral student, incredible trumpet player coming to us from the United States Army Band. Here to do a doctoral degree, a wonderful singer, trumpet player, band leader himself, Mr. Jack Wengrosky, has put a wonderful group together, and we're here in the studio this morning doing a tribute to the music of the late, great Chet Baker. We'll be talking to Jack throughout the program about his vision for this music, his opinions of Chet Baker, a man he met, and what Jack's career is going to be doing in the next year. But first, let's get the program started. This is Jack and his group's rendition of George Gershwin's But Not For Me, and you're listening to this music on the Frost Jazz Hour. Delightful, Jack. The music of George Gershwin, but not for me. And as we bring our guest artist, Sergeant Major Jack Wengrosky. Master Sergeant. Uh-oh, I have to talk to my producer about that. All right, welcome to the program, Jack.
Oh, thank you. I really wanted to do a tribute to Chet. Like I said, you mentioned I had met him. It was May 7th in 1986. I was at the Blackstone in Chicago, which was a regular jazz venue. I'd seen Woody Shaw, Steve Turre, a lot of great artists there. And I was in college at the time and was fortunate to get a ticket. And I really sat about 3-4 feet away from him and heard him play. And there was like such a richness and I guess like a sadness, when you heard him. And I was young, I didn't know his history, and I certainly don't think he was the kind of person you emulate, but that feeling for the music was really what attracted me.
Right, very passionate. At one time, I think they were actually grooming him to possibly be in the movies as well.
Yes, he was actually in a couple movies. He actually started in the Army. He was a clerk. He wanted to get away from home, and he enlisted at 16. And they found out and said, he could go home. And he didn't take that opportunity. He actually stayed in, and a guy heard him play, and they transferred him into the band. And he did his time and came home, actually re-enlisted again, and by then he was out in L.A. and had done a couple movies, and his career was taking off. So he went AWOL for a few days and then turned himself back in, and they let him out.
I mean, some of those pictures I've seen of him when he was a young man, he looked like James Dean.
Yeah.
But, tremendous musical talent. But I'm so glad that you're here talking about Chet Baker, someone that I think we should all, listen to more and discuss more. But I want to talk a little bit more about you. You are a unique individual as a trumpet player in that most trumpet players I know either play jazz or they play lead. It's very rare. People like Greg Gisbert, Jason Carter, it's very rare to have somebody, Bobby Shew, that can play both, and you are one of those people. So what came first for you, the lead trumpet playing or the jazz playing?
I think it was the lead trumpet playing. I started playing in the jazz band we had a stage band in grade school, but I started out as a lead player, and I just loved to take solos. I was very much influenced by a record that my dad had left me. So I had a New York jazz record collection when I was 6. So I grew up with Dizzy Gillespie and a whole host of Rafael Mendez and just some great trumpet artists. And when I got to college, we did a lot of things with Bobby Shew, and Bobby Shew just set the bar so high, and I didn't know any better. If you want to be like Bobby, you have to play lead trumpet and you have to play great jazz, and I'm still trying to to make that happen.
Well, I think you're doing a terrific job of it, and this band that you put together. I mean, one of the other many talents you seem to have is being a good contractor. So let's introduce everyone to this wonderful group of musicians you brought in.
All right, on piano is Wongsawat. He is a doctoral student at the University of Miami, a great piano player. And Gary Thomas is also a graduate of University of Miami.
Yeah, feel free. Oh, yeah.
You can see him all around town. He just did a bunch of things with Jared Hall and all around town. Ryan Hecker on drums.
Yeah.
And last but not least, and certainly the best looking of the bunch, is Chloe Dolandis. And she's a singer, and she was, I think she's a graduate of FAU, but we won't hold that against her.
No, we're happy to have her.
And you can go to her website at chloedolandis.com. She's releasing an album, and I think that's available there.
Okay, well, we're going to talk to Chloe a little bit later in the program. But right now, why don't we get back to some more music? What's next on the program this morning, Jack?
Next is Old Devil Moon.
Okay, all right. So we're speaking and listening to the music of Jack Wengrosky in his tribute to Chet Baker. And while Jack makes it back over to the bandstand, I want to remind everyone that this show continuing every Thursday. Our producer, as always, Alberto de la Reguera, has put together a wonderful lineup. Next week, another one of our favorite bass players, Dan Montgomery, just back from a wonderful trip to Guadalajara, Mexico, will be here with an ensemble. The week after that, John DeVersa, the great John DeVersa, head of the program at the Frost School, the jazz program, will be here with a faculty ensemble. September the 3rd, the Stamps Jazz Quintet. We know about them. We're always happy to have them live in the studio. And then on September the 10th, the man himself, Shelley Berg, will be here live performing at the WDNA Gallery. If you haven't been here for the Frost Jazz Hour or so many of the other things that happen here, please come by 2921 Coral Way here in fabulous Coral Gables. WDNA is really where jazz lives in the South Florida community. Wonderful performances on Friday evenings and Saturdays, jazz and film series, and of course the Frost Jazz Hour every Thursday at 11 a.m. We have a wonderful studio audience today, and we'd like to augment that each week, so come on by and see what we do. But now we're going to get back to some more music, our Chet Baker tribute with Jack Wengrosky on the Frost Jazz Hour.
Look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see soon begins bewitching me. It's that old double moon that you stole from the sky. It's that old double moon in your eye. You and your glance make this romance too hot to handle. Stars in the night blazing their light can't hold a candle to you razzle dazzle. You got me flying high and wide on a magic carpet ride full of butterflies inside. Wanna cry, wanna croon, wanna laugh like a loon. It's that old devil moon in your eyes. Just when I think I'm free as a dove, oh devil moon deep in your eyes blinds me with love. look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see soon begins bewitching me. It's that old devil moon that you saw from the sky. It's that old devil moon in your eye. You and your glance, that romance too hot to handle. Stars in the sky blazing their light can't hold a candle to you, razzle dazzle. You got me flying high and wide on a magic carpet ride full of butterflies inside. Wanna cry, wanna croon, wanna laugh like a loon. It's that old devil moon in your eyes. Just when I think I'm free as a dove, old devil moon deep in your eyes blinds me with love. Skidly-doo,
Yeah. The hidden talents of Jack Wengrosky coming out on the Frost Jazz Hour. Nice vocal there, Jack. We have a very special treat for our audience coming up at the bottom of the hour. Real quick, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes with the Frost Jazz Hour, and we'll introduce you to our very special guest. So stay tuned. And we're back on the Frost Jazz Hour. Thanks for staying tuned. We're featuring this morning a wonderful musician, vocalist, band leader, lead trumpet player, and jazz trumpet soloist, Mr. Jack Wengrosky. He's put a great group together and brought them into the studio this morning in a tribute to the music of Chet Baker. And a very special tribute and a guest artist we have this morning, the wonderful Chloe Dolandis, someone who's been singing around South Florida and other places. We're going to talk to Chloe after this next piece of music, someone we'd like to see and hear more of in the South Florida community. But right now, let's get back to the music of the program. This is Chloe, Jack, and the band with their version of Autumn Leaves on the Frost Jazz Hour.
The fallen leaves drift by the window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear the winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall. The fallen leaves drift by the window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the summer hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days were long, and soon I'll hear winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall. When autumn leaves start to fall. When autumn leaves start to fall.
Yeah, Jack. You're listening to the music of Jack Wengrosky and his group this morning, featuring Miss Chloe Dolandis. Chloe, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Sounds great. I think some people in the South Florida and the Frost community are not really familiar with your work yet, so hopefully this program will help with that. But tell us a little bit about, I know you have a CD that's out that's commercially available.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I have released a few albums, one EP this past June that's not totally jazz, it's more singer-songwriter, one jazzy sort of bossa song, because not only do I sing, I write, and that's such an important part of my musicality. So having released that was a really wonderful experience. Then going back a few years, I released this, Bring Back the Fever, which is my jazz pop soul sort of mix.
Okay.
And you played on it. You played bass on a few songs.
Oh, okay.
If you remember.
I do. I do indeed.
So we had a really good time in the studio with this one. And this is available on my website, chloedolandis.com. I have them here if anyone's interested in the studio. And yeah, I'm performing a lot. It's such an honor to play with these guys because this is a lot different than what I do with my band. We play a lot of originals and I think a little bit more pop than this. And this is really the jazz. It's my roots. I mean, my grandfather was a big band leader and a trumpet player, and my dad played in big bands, and it's really nice to explore that and go back to where I'm from.
All right. Well, at some point we're going to have to see you in front of a big band. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and you can. I play with the Jazz Rats up at FAU and Quartet.
Okay.
So
good.
Yeah.
All right. And I think the FAU group is now going to be led by our recent graduate, Major Bailey. I think he's going to be working with that group. So maybe you guys can collaborate. But it's great to see you in a small group jazz setting here. How did you and Jack meet?
We met there was an FAU big band that we performed with this past summer. I've been with them. They also, it's the same group that does the Florida Wind Symphony. Kyle Prescott is the band leader. So Jack played trumpet and I sang, and we just kind of knew. I mean, he's incredible. He's a wonderful musician, and he approached me after and said, "Hey, I'm putting this group together. Would you like to be a part of it?" I was like, "How? You don't even have to ask me. It's like it's a yes, absolutely."
Great. Well, good call, Jack, and we're glad to have you here, Chloe. And I think you're going to do another piece now with the band.
Yeah, we're going to do an original song. So this is In My Dreams. This is on my record, and you can listen online as well.
This is your writing.
Yeah, I wrote this with my mom and my dad actually, and a friend of mine. We collaborated. I love the collaborative aspect of music. Great.
We all do. Well, while you get back to the stage, thank you for coming in. And while she gets ready to go with the band, again, you're listening to Chloe Dolandis with Jack Wengrosky and the group, Wongsawat and Gary Thomas and Ryan Hecker. And it's a wonderful group and a tribute to Chet Baker. And stay tuned each week on the Frost Jazz Hour for upcoming artists such as Dan Montgomery, John DeVersa, the Stamps Jazz Quintet, and on September the 10th, Shelley Berg. All of this on the Frost Jazz Hour.
I'll meet you in the evening sun before the moonlight starts to come. There's nowhere else that I would rather be. Ooh, how did I get lost inside this dream? I feel the warmth of your embrace. Imagination paints your face. I'm in a world that feels so real to me. Now that I am lost inside this dream. If it's a dream, then please don't wake me. If I'm awake, then please don't shake me. Just let me live inside this fantasy. Loving you is so delightful. Losing you would be too frightful. My life is twice as lonely as it seems. Oh, but you would never leave me in my dreams. emotions rise when you and me. My fragile heart is washed with fear that this may be the last time I will see you. Why I'm lost inside this dream. If it's a dream, then please don't wake me. If I'm awake, then please don't shake me. Just let me live inside this fantasy. Loving you is so delightful. Losing you would be too frightful. My life is twice as lonely as it seems. Over you would never leave me in my dreams. Too frightful, my life is twice as lonely as it seems. Over you would never leave me. Oh no, you would never leave me. I know that you would never leave me in my dreams. Thank you.
Really nice. You're listening to the music of Jack Wengrosky and his group featuring Chloe Dolandis, and that piece of music can be found on her debut CD, Bring Back the Fever. And we're talking this morning with Jack about the music of Chet Baker, and we're going to present some more music at this point. Jack, what's next on the show?
My Funny Valentine.
Ah, My Funny Valentine. All right, wonderful. And you're listening to this music, of course, on the Frost Jazz Hour.
figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? So don't change a hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, funny Valentine. Stay. Each day is Valentine's Day.
Beautiful. You're listening to Jack Wengrosky and his group on the Frost Jazz Hour. Jack comes to us from the United States Army Jazz Ambassadors after a stint at North Texas State and some other places, I think Elmhurst College.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I'm looking, thank you so much again for being here, man. It's wonderful, the group that you've put together and the music that you're presenting in tribute to the great Chet Baker. I do have to ask you one question. I'm reading your bio here, and I know as part of the Jazz Ambassadors, you know, a lot of, I mean, that's a very heavy gig and very respectable gig. And it says here that you have performed for 6 presidents. Any good stories there? Keep in mind, this is public radio.
I think, well, the best story was, you know, a lot of them were inaugural parades. We were the senior band, okay, and we always kick off the parade. And unfortunately, Senator Kennedy, for one of those, got very sick and passed away. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there were about 100,000 of us waiting in line for the parade. And it just got colder and colder, and we waited, and they were waiting for medical attention. Mm-hmm. And you know, you're in line, and it's in the middle of January, and you know you can't go anywhere. You're in formation, and you know you're ready to start the parade, and you know we are not on a need-to-know basis, so we don't know what's going on. The sun starts to set. And finally, they count us off. And we were there for so long, and it was so cold, everybody's like Achilles tendons had actually kind of frozen. So as we stepped off, the whole like 99-piece marching band groaned in unison. As it was like, oh! And so that was my most memorable of all the presidential gigs.
Okay. All right, but I mean, certainly an honor to serve in that aspect. I thought you might have a good story about maybe Bill Clinton trying to play some tenor sax or something. But
he never played with us. Okay. We did follow him out to Hawaii. He was doing a passing review for the 25th Army Band, and we were doing something with the last Andrews Sisters. And he came by, and but that was about it.
Okay, all right. But back to your music. Now that you're part of the South Florida community, and you've got this small group, we can hear you live. I think there's a concert coming up at the Open Stage.
Yes, we're hoping for a date in October, and we'll get back to you. You can get that at jackwengrosky.com and at their website and the Miami Jazz Co-op.
Okay, yeah, a wonderful organization that sponsors these every Monday night concerts that usually feature people from the Frost School of Music, and certainly everyone from the South Florida community. Rick Katz and his people run a wonderful organization there, and those performances are at the Open Stage in Coral Gables. So we hope to see you and your group there sometime in October. I know that Martin Bergeron and the great Dave Tull from Los Angeles will be there. All kinds of stuff coming up, and we'll try to inform everyone of so many events here that come through the Frost School of Music and the WDNA Gallery. But Jack, if you want to go ahead, I think we've got time for one or two more pieces. What else will we hear this morning?
It's the, what is it again? Almost like being in love.
Okay, great. All right. While Jack gets back up onto the stage, I want to remind everyone here at the WDNA Gallery, where jazz lives in South Florida, there are so many different events. Our Friday night events with Nikki Yarling and all wonderful Saturday night concerts, but also the Jazz and Film series is a very wonderful program that continues next week. Thursday of next week, August 20th, a wonderful film directed by Robert Gibbons on the music of the great Jack Teagarden. Those of you who are fans of jazz history know that Jack Teagarden was one of those important transitional trombonists, making that jump from big bands into small groups and bebop. The great Jack Teagarden will be featured in a movie called It's Time for Tea, the story of trombonist Jack Teagarden, and that's next Thursday, 7 p.m. right here in the WDNA Gallery, 2921 Coral Way. Now back to more music with Jack Wengrosky and his group on the Frost Jazz Hour.
What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I swear I was falling, swear I was falling. Why, it's almost like being in love. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. And there's a musical that seems to me like a bell that is ringing just for me. And by the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, why, I swear I was falling, swear I was falling. Why, it's almost like being in love. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, great. Jack, I think we've got time for one more, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show this morning and for putting this great band together. And our studio audience, thank you guys for coming in. It's always great when we have a live audience. But how about a hand for Mr. Ryan Hecker on the drums? Wongsawat on piano. Mr. Gary Thomas on the bass. Our very special guest, Chloe Dolandis. And how about it for the multi-talented Mr. Jack Wengrosky. Jack, let's close out the show with one more. What do you got?
Everything happens to me.
Okay. Well, good for you.
It always seems to be the Chet Baker theme song.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for coming on the program, and tune in every Thursday at 11 a.m. for great musicians here on the Frost Jazz Hour.
I make a day for golf, and you can bet your life it rains. I try to give a party, and the guy upstairs complains. I guess I'll go through life just catching colds and missing trains. Everything happens to me. I never miss a thing. I've had the measles and the mumps, and every time I play a card, my partner always trumps. I guess I'll go through life just catching looks before he jumps. Everything happens to me. At first my heart thought that you could break this jinx for me, that love will get all my S's in the air. But now I just can't find this head that thinks for me. I've mortgaged all my castles in the air. I've telegraphed and phoned and sent an airmail special too. Your answer was goodbye, and there was even postage due. I fell in love just once, and then it had to be you. Everything happens to me. telegraphed and phoned and sent an airmail special too. Your answer was goodbye, and there was even postage due. I fell in love just once, and it had to be with you. Everything